The cold light of a distant star spilled over the barren surface of planet Aurora 17. Its twin moons hung low in the sky, pale and silent, watching the land like two unblinking eyes. Captain Ryland Voss stood at the bridge of the Starseeker, staring at the blue holographic map in front of him. The map showed a single blinking dot, the location of the colony's main city. They should have heard something by now. A greeting. A request for docking clearance. Anything. But the comms had been dead for hours. The colony had been sending regular supply requests for years. And then, 3 weeks ago, the transmissions stopped. No distress beacon. No technical messages. Just silence. The United Terran Council had sent 3 other ships before them. None had reported back. Range to the colony? Raylan asked. 8 kilometers, Captain, replied Lieutenant Mara Cade, the ship's sensor officer. Her voice was calm, but there was a shadow behind it. The kind of tone people use when they want to sound calm, but are already bracing for something bad. Raylan nodded slowly. Put us down on the landing pad near the governor's building. Keep weapons ready. The Starseeker descended through the thin gray clouds. The landscape below was strange rolling hills of black soil, dotted with twisted metallic plants that glistened in the cold wind. The colony appeared like a ghost on the horizon. Tall silver buildings stood in perfect rows, clean and untouched, but no people moved in the streets. No vehicles. No lights. The ship touched down with a soft hiss of hydraulics. The first steps, Rylan, Mara, and Engineer Holt Draven stepped out first, helmets sealed. The air was technically breathable, but carried a faint metallic taste and an odd vibration. As though the very atmosphere hummed quietly. The main street leading to the central square was wide and smooth, built from pale alloy tiles. The only sound was the crunch of their boots. This place looks perfect, Holt said quietly. No damage, no signs of struggle. Too perfect, Mara muttered. They reached the governor's building. Its entrance was a tall arch of polished steel, flanked by banners showing the colony's emblem, a rising sun over a crescent moon. The banners moved slightly in the wind. The massive double doors were wide open. Inside, the reception hall gleamed under high glass ceilings. Potted plants stood healthy and green. Chairs and desks sat in perfect order. But there were no people. No sound except the faint hum of their suit systems. This is wrong, Rylan said softly. Even in an evacuation, there'd be signs. Equipment scattered. Tools dropped. Or bodies, Holt added. The first clue. They began searching room by room. In the conference chamber, they found something strange. On the far wall, someone had carved deep grooves into the metal. Not words. Not drawings, symbols. Twisting, jagged lines that curled in on themselves like claws gripping air. And they glowed faintly in the dim light, black, yet somehow shining. What in hell is that? Mara asked, stepping closer. She raised her wrist scanner, but the device hissed and flickered with static. Rylan's eyes narrowed. Don't touch it. It's humming, Holt whispered. You hear that? They all did. A low, rhythmic sound, like a heartbeat buried deep inside the wall. Then the building's internal lights flickered. For just a second, the glow of the symbols seemed to grow brighter. The streets they moved deeper into the colony. Every building was the same, clean, perfect, empty. They found meals still on tables, drinks half finished, a child's toy lying in the middle of the street. It was as if the people had vanished in the middle of living. Then they reached the central square. At the center stood a tall communication tower. At its base was a holographic projector. The projector was active, showing static and broken light. Mara crouched to check the controls. The hologram flared to life. At first, it was blurry, a chaotic mess of color and sound. Then it cleared. It was a recording. Dozens of colonists were in the square, shouting, running. Shadows swirled around them, like smoke moving against the wind. A deep, guttural sound rumbled from somewhere beyond the camera's view. The people screamed louder. Some fell to the ground clutching their heads. Then a black mist surged from the side, rushing toward them. The image distorted, as if the air itself was tearing. The mist covered the colonists, and the sound of screaming cut off suddenly replaced by a single horrible whisper, "It comes for the living." The image snapped into static again. The projector went dark. The vanishing. Before anyone could speak, Holt froze. "Did you hear that?" he asked. They all stopped. "They're faint, behind." Then a sound of footsteps, slow, heavy. Ryland turned sharply. The street behind them was empty. Then they realized someone was missing. Private Elias, who had been covering the rear, was gone. "Elias?" "Report!" Ryland barked into the com. Nothing. Just static. They searched quickly. No signs of a struggle. No footprints. No blood. Only his helmet, lying on the ground. The visor was cracked, and the same black glowing symbols were burned into the surface. The watcher the wind picked up, carrying a faint growl that seemed to move between the buildings. Mara's scanner beeped suddenly. "Captain, there's something moving, 100 meters away. Show me." The display flickered, showing a shifting black shape. It moved too fast for the system to focus. Each time it passed between buildings, the scanner glitched into static. They caught a glimpse, just for a second, of a tall, thin figure. Its body seemed made of both bone and smoke, its eyes glowing deep red. Then it was gone. Nightfall approaches. The planet's day was short. Already, the sky was turning darker, the twin moons rising. Ryland looked at the shadows stretching across the streets. "We need to get back to the ship, now." As they moved, the colony seemed to close in around them. Every window felt like an eye. Every alley whispered with distant movement. The humming from the cymbals grew louder, echoing in their helmets. Halfway back, Mara stopped suddenly. On the wall to her left, new symbols were forming right in front of them. The metal hissed and smoked as jagged lines burned into its surface. Glowing with that impossible black light, the whisper returned. Louder this time. "It comes for the living." The chase. A sudden crash echoed from the street ahead. Something tall and fast darted across their path, knocking over a metal cart. The growl returned, closer now. It was deep and wet, vibrating. Through the ground, Ryland shouted, "Run!" They sprinted through the empty streets, their boots pounding against the tiles. Behind them, something heavy moved, footsteps too long and too fast for any human. The streetlights began to flicker and die one by one, plunging the path ahead into shadow. The final warning. They reached the ship's landing pad just as the last light in the square went out. The Starseeker's floodlights bathed the pad in white light. The shadow stopped at the edge of the light. In the dark, the demon's shape stood still, tall, watching, its head tilted unnaturally to the side. Its glowing red eyes locked on them. And then it spoke. The voice was a low growl, but the words were clear. "You cannot leave." The floodlights flickered. The red eyes vanished. The humming stopped, and the colony fell silent again. Back inside the ship's airlock, Holt Draven carefully held the cracked helmet they had found on the ground. The black glowing symbols burned faintly against its shattered visor. The strange light seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. "This isn't normal," Holt said, his fingers trembling slightly. "This symbol, it's like nothing I've ever seen. It looks ancient, but also alive." Mara Cade leaned closer, scanning the symbols with her wrist device. "I'm trying to get a reading, but the tech keeps failing. The symbols interfere with our scanners. It's like they're blocking our signals." Ryland stood watching quietly. He knew the feeling. Something was here, something older and darker than they could understand. The AI's warning. Suddenly, the ship's AI, called Astra, interrupted the silence. Her voice was calm, but carried a strange urgency. "Captain, I have analyzed the symbols on the helmet. They match ancient writings about a curse. The text refers to Calvar being known as the Demon of Shadows." Raylan's eyes narrowed. Calvor? A myth, Mara whispered. From old human legends. Astra continued, legends. Say Calvor was a creature of darkness that could possess and consume the souls of living beings. The curse is said to mark its victims with these symbols before the demon appears. Holt looked grim. So those symbols mean the wearer is marked. Chosen. Ryland clenched his fists. We can't let this spread. The search for clues, they decided to search the colony's data archives. Maybe, somewhere in the records, there was a clue. Mara and Holt worked together in the ship's lab, connecting to the colony's last data backups. Hours passed as the team dug through encrypted files, broken logs, and corrupted transmissions. Then, Mara's eyes widened. Captain, I found something, a video log from 2 days before the silence. Ryland and Holt crowded around the screen. The video showed the colony's central square, crowded with colonists. Everyone looked tense. An older man, the colony's lead scientist, spoke urgently. We have detected strange energy spikes near the eastern caves. Several colonists have reported nightmares, shadows moving in their homes. A woman interrupted. Is this a security threat? What is it? The scientist shook his head. We don't know. But last night, some colonists disappeared without a trace. No bodies, no signs of struggle. A young man added, and those black symbols, they started appearing on walls and objects. Suddenly, the feed flickered. The camera shook as if someone grabbed it. The image blurred, then the screen was filled with a thick black mist that seemed to move like smoke. Then the words whispered. Across the video, the curse has begun. The video ended with static. A new threat. Ryland turned. Off the screen, the curse began in the caves. Mara looked worried. We need to go there. Find the source. But it's dangerous, Holt said. We don't know what we're facing. Dangerous or not, Ryland said firmly. We have to know. Preparing for the cave, the team suited up. Mara packed extra lights and scanners. Holt took weapons, modified with plasma charges, something to slow or damage the demon if they encountered it. They left the safety of the colony behind and headed toward the eastern caves. The sky was gray and heavy. The twin moons had vanished behind thick clouds, leaving the land dim and cold. The cave entrance, the cave was hidden between jagged rocks. The entrance was wide and dark, like a mouth waiting to swallow them whole. As they stepped inside, the air grew colder. Their lights cut through thick shadows that moved as if alive. Mara's scanner beeped erratically. There's some kind of energy here, she said. It's unstable. Holt shivered. I don't like this. They moved deeper. Into the cave, the walls narrowing, closing in on them. The silence was thick, too thick. The mark appeared suddenly. A chilling wind swept through the tunnel. The black symbols appeared on the cave walls, glowing faintly. Ryland stopped and touched one carefully. It burned cold. Then, from the shadows, a voice whispered, You cannot escape the curse. They spun around, but no one was there. The demon revealed a cold, wet growl echoed behind them. Red eyes flickered in the darkness. The demon stepped into the light, its body a twisted mix of smoke and bone, burning embers glowing beneath cracked skin. Its presence was crushing, like a storm of cold fear. Raylan raised his plasma weapon and fired. The blasts passed through the demon's smoky form. Like mist, the demon snarled and moved faster than their eyes could follow. The first attack, Mara screamed as the demon lunged at Holt. He fell back, clutching his arm where a cold touch had burned. His skin, the black symbols glowed on Holt's flesh. It's marking me, he gasped. Raylan shouted, Fall back, we have to get out. A narrow escape, they ran through the twisting tunnels, the demon chasing, fading in and out like a shadow. Lights flickered and died. The air grew heavier with every step. Finally, they burst out of the cave into the cold night. Behind them, the demon's roar echoed. Then silence. The curse's power back on the ship. Holt's injury worsened. The symbols spread across his skin. Glowing brighter with every hour, the ship's medbay alarms sounded as he drifted into unconsciousness. Mara scanned the symbols again. The curse is alive in him. It's like it's trying to take over. Ryland stared grimly. We need a cure, or we lose him. A growing fear. The rest of the crew was frightened. Elias was still missing. The colony was lost. And now, one of their own was marked. Ryland knew the only way to survive was to understand the curse and fight it. He looked out the window at the dark planet below and whispered, "Calvor, we will find your weakness." The cold wind swept across the empty plains of Aurora 17 as the crew of the Starseeker prepared for what they feared most. Captain Ryland Voss paced the dimly lit command room, his eyes never leaving the glowing map of the colony. The warning signs had become impossible to ignore. The demon's mark was spreading, and time was running out. Holt's condition in the medbay. Holt Draven lay on a narrow bed, his breathing shallow. The black symbols on his skin pulsed faintly, as if alive. Cade stood by his side, adjusting the scanners on his arm. "The curse is spreading faster than we thought," she said quietly. "If we don't stop it soon, the demon will have a foothold inside our ship." Holt's eyes fluttered open for a moment. It burns," he whispered. "I can feel it inside me." Ryland entered the room, his expression hard. "We don't have time to waste. We must find the source of this curse and destroy it." The plan in the conference room. The remaining crew gathered around the holographic map. The eastern caves were marked clearly, but now the demon's presence was detected in other places too. "We can't just hide on this ship," Ryland said. "We have to face it. We need to set traps and be ready to fight." Mara nodded. "The demon only moves in the shadows. If we can keep the lights on and create a strong barrier of light, we might slow it down." Ryland agreed. "We'll use plasma torches and portable light generators. Our weapons won't harm it, but light can." Entering the darkness, the crew suited up and descended to the surface once again. The colony was quiet, but the feeling of being watched was stronger than ever. "Stay close," Ryland warned. "No one goes off alone." The team moved carefully through the streets, their light sources cutting sharp beams into the darkness. Every shadow seemed to stretch and move unnaturally. A sudden attack suddenly, a scream shattered the silence. Private Elias, who had been scouting ahead, was caught in the darkness. He tried to call for help, but his voice was cut off by a strange, wet growl. Ryland shouted, "Elias!" but it was too late. Elias vanished into the shadows, the demon's shape. The crew saw it then, an enormous figure moving faster than any human. It was tall, with bones that seemed to glow beneath smoky skin. Its eyes were two burning red orbs, full of hunger. Ryland raised his plasma torch and aimed the light at it. The demon hissed and recoiled, its smoky body twisting as if burned. But when they fired their weapons, the blasts passed through it like smoke. Trapped, the demon roared and charged. The crew ran, but the darkness seemed alive, closing in on them, one by one. The lights began to fail. Mara tried to keep her portable generator working, but the demon's presence interfered with the machines. "Keep the lights on," Raylan yelled. "Don't let it catch you in the dark." The narrow escape as the demon lunged toward Mara. Raylan pushed her out of the way. "We have to get back to the ship," he shouted. The crew sprinted through the dark streets, the demon's growls echoing behind them. Finally, they reached the Starseeker's landing pad. The countdown back on the ship. The Astra displayed a new message, a countdown timer 6 hours remaining before the curse claimed all life on Aurora 17. Ryland looked at the timer, then at his crew. "We don't have much time," he said. "We must find a way to break this curse." The curse, explained to ship's Astra, had been working non-stop, translating the ancient symbols and texts found on the colony. "Captain," Astra said, her voice calm but urgent, The curse follows specific rules. Rylan looked at her. Tell me. The curse marks its victims with black symbols. Once marked, a person's life is tied to the demon's shadow. When the shadow eats the last of the light around them, their life ends. The timer you see is the remaining light. Mara stepped forward. So if the lights go out, they die? Astra nodded. Yes, the curse uses darkness to consume. The marked crew Holt Draven lay in the medbay, the black symbols glowing brighter across his arm and chest. Mara scanned him carefully. The curse is getting stronger. We don't have much time before it takes him completely. Rylan clenched his fists. We need to keep the lights on around him at all costs. Strange voices suddenly, the ship's comm system crackled. A cold, growling voice whispered through every channel. You cannot hide. Your souls belong to me. The crew shivered. Raylan activated the ship's external lights. The bridge was flooded with bright white beams. The voice faded, replaced by a low hum. Systems failing, but the curse was not done. One by one, the ship's lights began to flicker and die. Power failures spread like a virus through the Star Seekers. Systems. Mara worked quickly, rerouting energy to the most important systems. Captain, if the lights go out, the curse will win, she said urgently. The immune one, amid the crew, one person was not marked. A human named Jax Marin, a quiet engineer, had no sign of the black symbols. Rylan studied him closely. Why aren't you marked? He asked. Jax shrugged. I don't know, maybe it's my genetics. Mara examined Jax's blood samples. There might be something in his DNA that resists the curse. A dangerous plan. Rylan gathered the crew. We will use Jax to lure the demon away from the ship, he said. If we can keep it outside, the rest of us can repair the systems and find a way to fight. The plan was risky. Jax was calm but nervous. If I fail, the demon will catch me. Rylan placed a hand on his shoulder. We all trust you. The hunt begins. Jax prepared his gear, a portable light, generator and a beacon designed to attract the demon. He stepped onto the colony surface, the wind cold against his suit. The black sky was filled with thick clouds. No stars shone, the demon's reaction. The demon sensed Jax's presence immediately. A low roar echoed from the shadows. Red eyes glowed in the distance. The creature moved faster than light. A storm of smoke and bone. Jax switched on his beacon. Bright light flooded the area. The demon hissed and rushed toward him. The chase. Jax ran through the colony's empty streets. The demon close behind. Light flickered and died all around him. He dropped small light charges to keep the demon away. But the shadow was relentless. A deadly trap. The demon smashed a wall, blocking Jax's escape. The ground shook beneath him. Jax looked for a way out. He saw the reactor chamber nearby. The final gamble. Jax lured the demon toward the reactor. He switched off his beacon, plunging the area into darkness. The demon snarled and moved forward. Just then, Raylan triggered the reactor's overload remotely. A blinding flash of light exploded, filling the chamber. The demon's fall. The demon screamed, its smoky body burning apart in the intense light. Black mist spilled from its form, but was pushed back by the blast. Jax collapsed, breathing hard but alive. Aftermath. Back on the ship, the crew cheered quietly. Holt's symbols faded slightly. The curse had weakened. But the black mist floated in the air, dangerous and free. Rylan stared out the window. This fight isn't over. The cold light of Aurora 17's dying day flickered through the windows of the Star Seeker. The crew was exhausted but determined. The curse of Calvor still lingered in the shadows, haunting their every step. The situation. Captain Rylan Voss stood before the crew. His voice was steady but heavy. We faced Calvor once, but the demon's mist escaped. It still lurks on this planet. We cannot let it leave. Mara Cade nodded. Our systems are repaired, but the curse's power is growing. We have only hours left. Holt Draven was awake now. The symbols on his skin dimmed, but were still visible. "We need a final plan," Raylan said. The immune human's role Jax Marin had recovered but was restless. "I have to finish this," he said quietly. "I can lure Calvor to one place. Then we trap it." Raylan looked at him. "It's dangerous." Jax smiled weakly. "Better to try than to wait." Preparing the trap, the crew worked fast. They gathered materials for a powerful trap: heavy plasma nets, high-intensity light generators, and an energy field designed to trap anything inside. Mara configured the light arrays to cover a wide area. Holt helped prepare the plasma nets. Raylan assigned teams to cover all escape routes. The hunt begins. Jack stepped outside again. The sky was dark and stormy. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The demon's presence was felt in every shadow. Jax activated his beacon and moved through the colony, drawing Calvor closer. The demon Addicts Calvor appeared suddenly, a towering figure of smoke and burning bone. Its red eyes blazing. It charged toward Jax, claws extended. Jax threw plasma charges and activated lights. The demon shrieked in pain, but kept coming. The trap springs. Jax led the demon into the trap zone. The crew activated the plasma nets, which glowed bright blue and crackled with energy. Calvor was caught, its smoky form struggling against the nets. The light generators bathed the area in intense brightness. The demon's fury. Calvor roared, sending waves of shadow in all directions. The nets held, but the ground shook beneath them. The demon tried to burn through the light, but the energy was too strong. Jax's final move. Jax approached the demon, holding a device that could amplify the ship's fusion core. He attached the device to the plasma nets. "Now, Captain," he called. Raylan triggered the fusion overload remotely. The explosion, a blinding flash, filled the trap zone. The demon screamed, its form unraveling under the intense light. Black mist spilled into the air, but was pulled back into the core by the energy field. Victory? The light faded. Calvor was gone. The black symbols on Holt's skin disappeared. The curse was broken. A new threat, but then a crate in the storage bay shook. Inside, the black symbols glowed faintly. The fight was not over. The silence after the explosion was deep and heavy. Captain Rylan Voss stood on the bridge of the Starseeker, his eyes fixed on the planet below. Aurora 17 was quiet now, but the danger was far from over. The aftermath inside the ship. The crew worked to repair systems damaged by the fight. Lights flickered and machines hummed back to life. Holt Draven sat in the medbay, free of the black symbols that had once marked him. He smiled weakly, exhausted but alive. Mara Cade scanned the ship's systems. The curse is gone for now. The black mist, but deep in the storage bay, a crate lay untouched. Suddenly, the crate shook. Inside, black symbols glowed faintly. The mist they thought destroyed was still alive, waiting. The warning. Rylan gathered the crew. The demon may be gone, but its curse is not. Jax Marin, still recovering, looked grim. "We escaped, but only just." Mara nodded. "We need to find a way to end this for good." A message from beyond. Suddenly, the ship's communication system crackled. A faint voice whispered through the static. "You cannot run from Calvor. The curse will follow you through the stars." The crew shivered. The decision. Rylan looked at the stars beyond the ship's windows. "We leave Aurora 17 behind," he said. "But we carry this curse with us. We must warn others. We must fight." The crew nodded. A new journey, the Starseeker, lifted off, leaving the haunted planet behind. The black mist swirled faintly in the air. Trapped but restless, only a human escaped. Rylan stood alone on the bridge, watching the stars. "We survived because of human will," he said quietly. "Only a human escaped the demon's deadly grip." The future, but the future was uncertain. The curse had changed them all, and the shadows were waiting.